So it feels really weird saying this, but today we're going to be checking out the brand new Chanel fragrance. It's been forever since we've gotten a new one, at least as far as men's releases are concerned. The last one is Bleu de Chanel Parfum. And I will admit, this is not really what I was hoping for. This already seems like it's kind of just a little bit of a cash grab, at least is what it looks like. I could be wrong. We're going to open this one up and try it together live on camera. This is still sealed up, so you'll get to see my live initial reactions. You know, I didn't know if they were going to do like a Bleu de Chanel elixir or just a stronger version of, you know, Chanel Allure Homme, or maybe unveil a brand new line, right? But this is kind of what we're working with, and hey, I guess that's better than nothing. So this is available on Chanel's official website right now, of course, full retail. So I paid $172 for this, 100 ml. This is obviously an eau de parfum, as you can see, and it's being marketed as a limited edition. So I don't know to what extent that's going to be. I don't know if they're going to run it for a year and be done, or if they're going to let it go for a while. That's kind of where we're at. Here is the bottle, okay? So looks really sharp. The first thing that stands out is raised lettering right there, which is a nice touch. The red blends in with the red in the sport up top, and that kind of ties back to the rest of the lineup. So, you know, on Allure Homme Sport, Sport is in red right there. Same thing on Sport Eau Extreme, also in red. So they're kind of maintaining that trend, but this is the first time we've gotten raised lettering. Probably doesn't show on camera super well, but it does look much better in person. But other than that, the bottle is just clear, okay? You take a look at something like Sport Cologne, there's a slight bit of a yellowish tint to it, whereas this one, there's no coloration whatsoever. Okay, let's get this one on skin and we'll see what we got going on. Nice Chanel atomizer, not pressurized, but still really good. It's opening up a lot more fresh and bright than, for example, Allure Homme Sport. This one has always been interesting because it's a sport labeled scent, but it actually has a bit of a creaminess. It's got a bunch of C notes giving it a fresh aquatic approach, but then kind of a creamy tonka undertone to give it just a slight amount of a sweetness underneath. You know, it's underlying. And so it still is fresh and sporty, but with a different twist. This one is already starting out much more fresh and much more like what you would expect from a sport scent. It's not giving off the same type of tonka creaminess that was found in Allure Homme Sport. Instead, it's much more bright and fresh and citrusy, which I really like. But it's also not to be confused with something like Allure Homme Sport Cologne, okay? So this one kind of rose to fame due to comparisons to Dior Homme Cologne, which is you know, a very, very bright kind of lemon-based scent. I mean, that one's lemon and musk, and it kind of smells like a glass of lemonade, right? And so this kind of follows a similar structure. It's basically all citrus in, you know, something like Allure Homme Sport Cologne. You're getting a ton of citrus here as well, but also some woods and some musk to go along with that. A real nice bright kick, almost like a lemony type of smell also. Kind of like a lemon note that's used in Edition Blanche, which is, of course, within this line as well. I'm picking up on that a little bit. It's just kind of that similar style. So let's take a look at what we have for notes here. Up top, we have citrus, mandarin, and grapefruit. In the mid, we have woody notes and cedarwood. In the base, we have white musk, amber, patchouli, and sandalwood. So not a super interesting note breakdown by any means, kind of about what you would expect. You get a mixture of citruses and then some woody notes, and then musk is essentially, in a nutshell, what this one is. There's a nice smooth undertone that you start to pick up on after it starts to settle down. That's probably coming from some of that sandalwood, maybe some of that amber as well. Patchouli is absent as of right now, but that might start to come out later on. Even the cedarwood is not super prominent yet, and if it is, it's a pretty mild cedarwood. So kind of in one way or another, if I were to describe this one right now, it's kind of like Chanel Allure Homme Sport ditching the sweet creaminess and ditching that tonka bean is kind of what this one is, if you just wanted to leverage another popular scent from them to describe it, right? So if this one is just a bit too much sometimes for you and the warm weather, and if it's not kind of what you expect from your usual sport suspects, then this one might come in and fix that, you know, because it loses that, and it really focuses on a fresh, invigorating, and bright aspect with quite a bit of musk going on as well. So it is more true to the name of sport. You know, you could almost kind of say that this is like their answer to Versace Pour Homme in one way or another. Now, I would say that this one does have a lot more woody depth to it compared to the Versace. And keep in mind, you know, Chanel Allure Homme Sport came out first in 2004, Versace Pour Homme 2008. So there was a pretty big gap, but it was blatantly obvious that the Versace came after and was heavily inspired by that Chanel. The Versace is basically all bright and fresh with some musk and citrus, right? The Chanel has a bit of that creaminess to it. This one, it's losing that tonka, but it is amping up the brighter aspects of it and focusing on that part, kind of like what Versace Pour Homme does. But again, with this one in particular, more woods, the sandalwood, kind of that smooth amber starting to come through, and that's what would separate those two. You know, let's see what people are saying online. First of all, performance. So again, this is a first impressions, but it's rating really good right now on Fragrantica. Like the vast majority of the rankings are in the long-lasting category there, which is good to see. It's an eau de parfum, so maybe it'll have some hope for performance. Let's see what it gets compared to. So the first one is Chanel Allure Homme Sport. I already covered that. The next one is interesting, Creed Aventus Cologne. And so yet another situation where, you know, Creed Aventus Cologne kind of smells like Aventus meets Versace Pour Homme or Aventus meets Chanel Allure Homme Sport, right? So I will say I'm not really getting much of a pineapple accord, much of a Aventus backbone. I can see it on the opening, okay? That's where I would kind of pick up on that. That opening does have a little bit of an Aventus feel, but on my skin, as it's settling down, it isn't really there as much. You know, maybe a little bit, but not all that much. I definitely wouldn't say that this is a clone of Creed Aventus Cologne, but I can definitely see where people are coming from off that opening. It would be somewhat present there. Okay, up next we have Chanel Allure Homme Sport Cologne, right? So this one, I already covered that. This smells a lot like Dior Homme Cologne, and the new Chanel here doesn't really smell like that. Chanel Allure Homme Sport Extreme, which I got that bottle out just in case because I didn't know what direction this was gonna go. Obviously, I showed it earlier, and I don't really think so. Again, this one has a bunch of mint and tonka and some sweeter aspects to it, whereas this one, it really doesn't. I think a mint note actually would have fit really well in this one. Not saying that it is bad without it, but that could have worked, it's just not there. Tom Ford Fleur de Portofino, I haven't even smelled it, so I can't speak on that one. And then we have a few more Tom Fords, it's kind of hard to read. Mandarino di Amalfi Aqua, Sol di Pastiano Aqua, Versace Pour Homme, and then it just kind of goes crazy from there, like Dior Homme Sport and stuff. So yeah, I think your best bet and the best way to describe this one, if you wanted to put it into a camp, is kind of like their answer to Versace Pour Homme, but with some more woods. Or even better, you could just say it's Chanel Allure Homme Sport without that tonka sweetness. The orange in here is still coming through, and we're about 10 minutes in to the wearing experience here. And so it's kind of a nice, smooth, fruity orange, mandarin orange, which smells amazing. It's smelling great in the dry down. I think as of right now, my favorite part's the opening. I'm just gonna spray it again. That opening is amazing. I mean, wow, that's great. And that is kind of where some of that Aventus Cologne comparison comes in, because I can see that, but that does dissipate. But wow, that opening is big time attention grabbing. It'll definitely get you hooked, and it'll make you want to see what's next to come. So I was going into this one expecting it to be really, really lame. And really, at the end of the day, I don't think it's super exciting, okay? Given that we've had to wait this long for a new Chanel release, and then this is kind of what they reintroduced with, it's going to be a letdown for a lot of people. You know, that's just kind of where I'm at with it. It is better than I thought it was going to be, though. I will give them that, especially because when you look at it, it's like we already have stuff like Allure Homme Sport, Allure Homme Sport Cologne. Like we already have these fresher versions. Do we need another fresh version, right? They could have gone in the opposite direction. But this one is pretty well done, and I do think it fits in. It has a bit more richness and complexity than Allure Homme Sport Cologne, but it also isn't as heavy as something like Sport and Sport O Extreme. So it kind of does have its own little area that it fits into. And the other sad thing is that being that it's a Chanel, you're really not going to have a good time getting this one below retail. So you're basically going to be stuck paying $172, I think it was, plus tax and shipping possibly. And so, you know, you're closer to $200 by the time it's all said and done. Is it worth $200? I don't really know. The performance is going to be something that really helps this one out if it performs good. You know, I have high hopes. I hope it does because, again, Allure Homme Sport Cologne, not a mega performer. Even Allure Homme Extreme and Allure Homme Sport, they're okay. They more than get the job done, but for the price that these command, that might be a bit of a letdown for some people. You know, as it continues to dry down, I'm getting some more of the woods. Some of the citrus, some of the fruit is starting to settle down and dissipate a little bit, leaving kind of a woody, slightly ambery and kind of musky dry down. So kind of settling into what I would imagine is going to be where it's at throughout the duration of the scent. The opening is by far the most exciting part to me. You know, maybe that'll drastically change or something, but as of right now, smelling the dry down, still very nice, but that opening is phenomenal. I could just sit here and smell that opening all day. At the end of the day, this is a limited edition, and so with that being said, I don't know what the future holds for this. If you're a fan of Chanel, this might be worth a pickup because, you know, it's not going to be around forever, and then, you know, at least you'll have it. And I do really like it. I think it's a good summer release. We're kind of on the way out as far as summer goes, but I'll still definitely try to wear this one while I can before it starts to get chilly. I'm glad that I have it. I'm glad that I bought it at full retail because I wouldn't be able to buy it at any other price, really. Okay, I like it more than I thought I would, but fair warning, it might be a bit disappointing for some people. I hope that this is just kind of a, you know, a reintroduction as like a, you know, feeling the waters, and then maybe from there they'll cook up something else that maybe is a bit more interesting and innovative, but this is kind of what we're working with right now. Allure Homme Sport Superleggera. The opening is great. The dry down so far is nice, but I think leaves a little bit to be desired. Chanel quality is shining through on this one. It is super, super silky smooth from start to where it's sitting right now. So at least you have that going for it. But that's really gonna do it for me, guys. The new Chanel. Let me know down below if you've tried it yet. What do you think? If you haven't, are you going to give it a try? Are you gonna go blind buy it at full retail, or what your plan is? Again, that opening, kind of harping on it, but it really is great. I love that. Really, really bright, citric, and strong and punchy and a little bit sour. That's nice. And it does kind of tie back to the Allure Homme Sport opening a little bit, and then it just kind of goes off and does its own little thing here, and it does start to settle down quite a bit and loses that punchiness, which I wish they could carry that throughout the duration of the scent because that is amazing smelling. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.